When something new comes along, when the next thing comes along, everybody goes, what's that? Keep that in mind. The next thing is not something you're familiar with. It's not at all what you imagined. Because if you'd imagined it, you'd have done it yourself. So I'm warning that this is not a conventional film. And so just keep that in mind.
Here, I'm proud to have gotten this far, but at the same time, I'm also humbled by the fact that you're all here, and that you waited this long, and that you watched the whole film. Whether you liked it or not, it's a humbling experience, as well as being a proud experience to have gotten this far. And so it's, I live a dual life. So this is Kelvin. He is, of course, you recognize him from the screen. And there's a few people I just want to thank real quick. To begin with, I'd like to thank my partner who had ear surgery on Tuesday. We thought I was going to be in and out, and she's still kind of recovering from home. She couldn't be here. My co-producer and my partner, and the other two people that I want to thank right off the bat are my mother and father, who are here and who don't necessarily even agree with all the things that I have to say, but have still supported me otherwise. Jeff, my cinematographer, is here. Come on, Jeff, take a step. Melvin is here. Omar's here. There's a few people here from the crew and whatnot. Joseph, where are you? Joseph, the drummer for Reconstruction.
Usually, they do these things called road shows. So like when David Lean did Lawrence of Arabia, instead of it just being a movie that shows 3 times or 4 or 5 times in a day, they would have 2 screenings, very special screenings, and they would, usually somebody was there to answer questions afterwards and so on and so forth. And they made it seem more like theater or going to the ballet or going to the opera. And I kind of like that idea that they did that with Che. They road showed it. So in other words, Stephen and sometimes Benicio would go from, they would show it in Los Angeles, they'd answer questions afterwards, and Stephen would be in New York answering questions, and they'd go from town to town asking questions, or, you know, presenting the film. It'd only be like 2 screenings. So I'm working on putting something together like that, so that, because I think I wanted to make this film start a dialogue. I don't think that Puerto Ricans talk about the status issue or our colonialist situation. And when we do talk about it, we tend to talk about it from this place of where we take our political positions and we make them personal. And I think that I'm starting to learn now that no matter what you believe in, whether you believe in independence or statehood or the status quo, that all those people are looking out for their own people. In other words, the independentistas think they have it, the solution for our people, and the stateholders do, and then the status quo people do too. And so all of their opinions about the situation are coming from a place of wanting to take care of our people. I believe 2 of those are misguided, but that doesn't mean that we can't sit down and have a conversation about it without feeling that it's personal. I mean, it is personal, but the problem is that at the top layer is this peace-loving people called Puerto Ricans that live and let live. And then underneath that, there's all this anguish and all this pain and all this suffering that imperialism and colonialism has brought onto us. And when we discuss these issues, sometimes that comes up, whether you're a stateholder or a status quo or an independentista, and we wind up sort of taking out that pain and that aggression on one another rather than turning it around and pointing it at those who perpetrated this. So that's what I'm trying to do with Puerto Rico. I've been traveling with this film since last June, all over the world. We started in Beverly Hills of all places. the Hollywood Black Film Festival. From there we went to South Africa, where we won an award, and I was ecstatic because of what it meant to win in South Africa, and for it to be our first award. From there we went to Cairo, and then after that I went to Wales. We won in Wales, and then we went to England, and we won in England. And I didn't get to go to Thailand, although I could probably love to go tomorrow. But we won in Thailand last week. And what I'm finding from audiences outside the United States is that people don't even know that Puerto Rico is a colony. Because they're just like, don't you guys have an Olympic team? And don't you compete in the Pan American Games or something? I mean, and it doesn't make sense. You know, the United States is real slick with that. You know, it's like, oh, they're a colony, but let them compete in the Olympics. They're not going to win anything anyway, you know. And so people start to think, how can you be in the Olympics and not be a country? It's like, I don't know, you got to ask them. And so people are kind of shocked that the bastion of democracy, the United States, has a colony in its backyard. You know, that's that particular take on people who have seen the film. Puerto Ricans, they have another take. And there have been, I've screened this film, it started off as a short, and we've been kind of extending it. The way I've been explaining it is kind of like Miles Davis Kind of Blue. When Miles Davis recorded that, it was kind of like, he came in with a 12-bar modal blues. It's just a basic 12-bar blues. And then they just went in there and they just kind of riffed off of that blues and just improvised. So the script was only 25 pages, and everything else we just, this is what you're gonna say, and this is what you're gonna say. And that's it. And then we just ran with it. So when we were showing it as a shorter version and sort of getting feedback, because the film is strange and different, and I was trying to do things differently, I was trying to get feedback as to whether or not I was achieving what I had wanted to achieve. And when we showed it to Puerto Ricans, whew, man, there were some heated discussions. Not so much towards me, but when people left, there were at least two different situations where people told me later that Puerto Ricans almost got into a fist fight, and I was like, that's not where I was. Discussion, not, you know, knockout, not by decision anyway. And so that's been the problem, or maybe it's not a problem, maybe it's a compliment. Maybe the fact that two people walk out of a movie and are so heated about something and that they're willing to, they feel passionate about it, it's a good thing. I mean, how many times do you walk out of the movie and be like, God damn it. I go to the movies all the time and it happens rarely to me. And I go see everything, so. It depends, it's a weird thing. But my staunchest supporters have been African American men. There have been times when I've been attacked from the audience by people, and I have to be careful when I do Q&As because I'd like to come back as harshly as people are coming. I'd like to match the energy, and I can't do that because a lot of people are maybe afraid to ask a question, and if I start to go toe-to-toe with that person's going to be like, oh, I'm not going to ask any questions. So, but then audience members would stand up, African-American men, be like, wait a minute, brother's got a right to say what he's got to say. The film's about revolution. So the thing was to try and present the film in a revolutionary manner on all levels, not just within the subject matter, but in the way that we shot it, in the way that we edited it, in the way that we did the music. I do want to talk about the music for a second. The songs, with all the lyrics, are from a band called Reconstruction. I worked with Reconstruction for a long time. That album is 11 years old right now. It was called Liberation Day, and it was released in 1998. We were the first band to be signed to CBTV Records. I'm listening to that record when I'm writing the script, and these songs are insinuating themselves into the script. They're like, we want to be in the movie. So I said, okay, you can be in the movie then. And that's part of where the structure came from. And people said to me, well, you can't have these music videos in the middle of the movie, man. And I was like, they're not music videos. They're more like classical Greek theater where the classic Greek chorus gets on and narrates. I mean, they're not, the songs, it's not like the songs don't have anything to do with the movie. They're actually part of the narration, another level of narration in the film. So those were some of the things that we did. And, you know, it had to be that way. Not to mention the fact that, you know, who wants to be traditional? Forget about tradition. Try something new.